Good afternoon, and welcome back to the live stream. I'm just checking some technical things. I'm getting also a little bit of feedback today, so I'm not sure how good the sound will be, but hopefully it'll be okay. And hopefully you are joining us live. If not, tell me what it's like in the future. Today we are going to, oh, it's working okay there. Okay, today we are going to just talk about forward sound and journaling. So I've got my trumpet journal right here. Try to get this up in front of you. I'm just going to write on a random page because my pages got a little out of order. I was sharing them with students all week, and so I've been taking some pages out, and so I need to redo that. But I'm happy to share the template with you. I need to get my website up and running, and I will put things like this on there. But basically, it has three categories. One is what you're doing, or what you're not doing, as the case may be, but the item, right? So in our case, let's say maybe we're doing long tones, or we're resting. And then the next category, the next column, I should say, is habit or focus. So in other words, why am I doing this thing? And then the last column is just general notes. How did it go? Is there more to it than what I could put in the habit and focus column? Is there a special way that I did this that I don't normally do that I want to remember? Things like that. And then at the first column is the time. In other words, how long did I spend doing that? And that's pretty basic. Then the rest of the template we're not going to get to today, but the rest of the template is just suggesting things that I probably should do every day. High range, scales, sight reading, transposition, excerpts, recording myself, listening, practicing my lesson material, right? I can do that in a generic sense without it labeled here on the page, but if I have it labeled on the page, then I'm going to notice when I don't do it, right? Oh, you're also looking at nothing. So let's see if we can reset that. Yeah, I didn't think that would work. Okay, well, let's see about it now. No, huh? Well, it seems that Camera Live is acting badly today. We'll see how long it lasts, and I'll try to keep an eye on it. It's not right where you are, so, but I guess I'll be sideways a lot of the time anyway. So okay, that's all you have to know so far. I also need to keep an eye on the chat and see if anybody is here and doing anything. So we'll keep that up as well. And hopefully I won't freeze to death. Okay, so what is a forward sound? We don't have anything to write down in our journal yet because we haven't actually done anything yet. But what is a forward sound? Forward sound is sort of the core concept of the method of production that I subscribe to. And it is one that I learned from my teachers. And it's sort of a made-up name. It referred to other ways by other teachers, I'm sure. But this is just how I talk about it. And so it's forward because it is, first of all, out here. In other words, not at my lips, not just buzz my lips and it gets louder because this is a cone shape, but eventually the bell, right? Not like that, but in fact, that there's some interaction between the physics of the pipe, the physics of the way that it's built. In other words, the edges inside it, right? And the way that I'm blowing and interacting with that. So it's out here. In other words, right? That's where it happens out here. And in fact, the sound also travels out that way a little bit better. It interacts with the other sounds and the bouncing of the sound waves off of other things and then back to itself. And that's always happening, but the forward sound method is all sort of out front instead of at your face. Now, there's another way to think about that. All the problems we have are on this side of the trumpet, and that's true, but it's because that's the only thing we can control, right? So that's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about blowing into this horn, getting something, and you'll see as we do it why this is the way that it kind of can work. So let's talk about the way that we want to think about it working, right? Whether it's true or not. A concept is just a concept, right? It's trying to help us visualize or otherwise understand something. And so here's how it goes, right? We breathe in, we blow out. and there's nothing in between. So just in and then straight out, right? That's the turnaround. And we don't want any catch there. We don't want to hold our breath. We don't want anything. And we even can breathe against some support. So some diaphragmatic support, right? When you're going to blow, it's like, ha, ha. It's intense in a sense that just kind of relaxing is not, right? So we want to have that sort of sense of strength there, backing up the air, right? Sort of pushing it out. We don't want it to be too strong because then we're building tension. We don't want Valsalva maneuver or anything like that. We just want to feel the sense that we are projecting that air forward, right? So, and we can do that preemptively by breathing in against that support, right? So that doesn't need to make it jolty. In fact, it helps me keep it smooth. Okay, so that's the first step. I breathe in, I blow out, and then, well, I have a mouthpiece and the trumpet. And the way we're going to think about it is we're going to blow past the lips, right? So it's not going to buzz right away. It's not. It's now the lips are close together, but the air is parting them, right? And it's going to go into the trumpet, right? And I like to think about it right at the end of the lead pipe, but you can think about wherever you'd like. You can go all the way to the bell. You can go just to the venturi of the lead pipe, whatever you visualize best. But I want the air to go all the way into the trumpet and then bounce off of the surface in there, right? I like to think about it as the front of this tube, or perhaps just the end of the lead pipe, right? I want it to bounce off of there and then propagate back up the pipe, and then that air pressure, so to speak, is going to cause my lips to come together, and that's going to cause the vibration. So the vibration doesn't happen until I've already blown into the horn. And we can actually prove this, quote unquote prove. It's absolutely a magic trick and doesn't prove anything, but if it's compelling to you, watch. Let me... That's a trick that a lot of people will demonstrate to say, yeah, we need the whole length of the trumpet to vibrate. Really, you're just keeping your lips apart. I can also do it the other way if I want. So, I mean, it's a magic trick, right? But you can experiment with this for yourself, trying to keep the buzz happening while you pull the trumpet away from the mouthpiece is one. It teaches you some things, and keeping the air kind of the focus is how you do the other one, where the buzz stops as you take the trumpet away or the mouthpiece away, right? And that's what we're focused on here, is the air. So it is true in a sense, but don't be fooled when somebody says, well, that's the only way that it can happen. You learn different things from different techniques. But anyway, now we're getting off topic. I'm just kind of ranting, and we actually don't have that much time. I have something I have to do, well, between now and a half hour, or in 15 minutes from now. So let's get right on it. So how do we do this thing, right? Well, the easiest way is to do it on the lead pipe, I find. And so we'll walk through a couple of different ways, and then we'll practice doing it. And essentially, why would we want to do it? Well, it's easier. It's more work up front, but then the work stays the same. And so no matter what note we're playing, sometimes in the lower register it's a little harder, but that's okay because, well, they're low notes, right? So we have the strength to spend on them. But the middle and high range are pretty easy, and it comes kind of naturally. So all the notes kind of live on that reflection, if you want to think about it that way. And so what we have to do is find this reflection and then just keep it. We want to get really good at going right to it and no further, and and not sort of sneak into it either, right? And once we find it, we actually have to lean into it a little bit too. So we can do that on what I call the raw lead pipe, right? Which is just like this. I've been talking to just these mics. Hopefully you could hear some of that. So on just the raw lead pipe, here we go. So when you're doing this lead pipe buzzing, you can notice I'm just doing what I call medium tones. I'm just kind of hitting it and trying to find where that reflection is. And as I get more familiar with it, I'm finding that the pitch goes up a little bit, that the ideal slot for that reflection feeling, that feeling of the vibrational pushback, right, is a little bit sharper than where I started. So that's fine. You can also do the higher G on the lead pipe, but it's not as much a sense of reflection as a sense of compression that we need to get from that. And we can find both by going between the notes. So the lower note, though, I find has the best sense of reflection. Now, if you already know that, and that's where it's the most magnified because the pipe is the shortest, so the reflection feels like it's right here. If we want to take our B-flat trumpet and take the second valve out and put it back in the bottom, right, so like this, let's try to show that to you, right? So it's back in the bottom pipe, but not in the top pipe, see? Then we can have a lead pipe buzzing machine. Right, so I can push the valve down to do through the vented valve, which is like the lead pipe, right? And it'll be a G in the staff now. And then when I let go of it, it'll be a G through the bell. And that way I can connect the sense of the reflection that I find on the lead pipe to that same sensation on the entire horn, right? So I can find the same spot, in other words. So we can do this one of two ways, right? We can do it lead pipe first, where we find the reflection and then check it and see what sound that makes. And then we can also try to find it on the full trumpet, which is what we eventually need to do, and then check to make sure that that's really stable on the lead pipe. So we're going to do both of those. Just a little hot there. Sorry about that. So you can hear this is pretty aggressive stuff too. I'm really putting a lot of air through the horn. And the thing is, it's easier to find all this when you're putting enough air in. If you're not putting enough air in, then you're just not getting the air to that point in the horn where it actually can reflect. It's just not enough energy. So make sure you try this out first a little bit on the loud side, and then you can back it off, as well as add articulation, because contrary to the way that we maybe play without this, articulation is actually not our friend here because it will disturb our sense of this reflection. So we have to learn to tongue lighter, and it will sound just as clean as ever, but we don't want to disturb this sensation of reflection. That's the kiss of death when you rely on this method, because essentially you're leaning in like you're leaning on the wall, and if that wall jumps out from under you, you fall down, right? So we don't want to articulate da, da. We don't want to really hammer that articulation. We just want to go da, da, or sorry, it's da, 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 right? Just ever so slightly kind of a da or a pt ta 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 tongue, right? Oh, my dad's talking to me on the thing. Yeah, he's getting better. So what did I say? We're going to try to shrink the dynamic, and we're also going to add articulation actually first. We'll add articulation. And on the lead pipe, it's really obvious when you overtongue, and then as you get softer, you actually want to reach deeper in the horn, because that reflection, it's not actually that the reflection changes place, it's that it takes more, it takes the same amount of energy to get there, but you're shrinking the airstream, right? So that has to have relatively more energy compact inside it to get to the same place, if that makes sense. All right, here we go. So it's hard for me to go all in one go. It's hard for me to get much quieter than that, which still really isn't that quiet. I don't think I have it here. Maybe I do. Oh yeah, I do. I have the old decibel meter. My dad might remember this from, I think it was my 4th grade project, where I measured the vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaners are loud. But so we could use something like this. The problem with a decibel meter, a standard one like this, is that it only measures about 10 decibel ranges at a time. And we're going to go beyond 10 decibels, usually all in one go. But if we can just max it out and then see if we can get down to something, right? So in other words, I can start wherever I want and it'll just totally max this decibel meter. I wish I could put this in a place that you could see it. I guess I could do it one-handed probably. And then we can figure it out that way. But you really should have this thing pointed at you. But this room's small enough that it'll bounce around. So let me put this down, and we'll try it, and I'll try to face it towards you. So first, let's make sure that it's around the right place. Let's see how low do we want to go? How about 70? Now remember, we want to do this with a forward sound, so I can do it. I can make soft noises that are not forward. But yeah, I think I can manage 70. So I'll try to hold this up. I got to hold it somewhere where you can see it though, and it's not reflected. Okay, let's try it out. And I guess I also need to turn off my vocal mic. So here we go. Let's try it. Looks like we got about 70. Again, this is a lot harder to do for you than it is to just look at on the thing. And it was away from the bell, so I didn't have to go quite as low. But anyway, you have to engage the reflection in order to get the forward sound. If you don't engage it, then you just get, it's there, but you're not actually doing anything with it. And then you get a crummy sound, right? So you don't want it to get... because you're not really doing anything with the forward sound. You want... and it takes some strength to hold that. But anyway, that's how you do it on the B-flat trumpet. And there's a couple of exercises. I'm going to switch to the C trumpet quickly to show you how to do that. And because every trumpet has a different reflection point, and you really want to have a set of trumpets that match pretty well so you don't have to go searching for it. But it doesn't take long to find it. I'll do it on this horn, and you can also do lead pipe on this horn. On any trumpet, actually, that has a removable tuning slide, you can do the lead pipe and find out what it is. On E-flat trumpet, you can actually do through the 3rd valve, taken out and put back in the top. You can kind of hold it, and then that's like an A that you can go back and forth to. So you can try that one out. But on the C trumpet, you can take out the 1st valve and put it back in. And so now you're going to go through the tube that way. On the B-flat trumpet, if your 2nd valve doesn't come out, you can also take out your entire 1st valve. It'll just hit you in the face a little bit, but that's also about the same amount of length. So anyway, but I said I would find it. So when you're just picking up a horn and you know how to do this stuff, all it takes is a couple of sort of chromatic scales or something, and you're looking for that reflection the whole time. So you put a lot of air through the horn, you play some chromatic scales and maybe a couple of lip slurs, and you can find it pretty quickly. I'll show you how. And you can hear the quality of that sound is the same quality we're getting from the B-flat, right? It has resonance and core to it. So how do we find the reflection on the C trumpet besides, you know, once you know where it is, then it's pretty easy to find, or once you know how to look for it, I should say. But how do we do the same exercise? Well, you just take this, like I said, and it's the same note. It's G again. So we can do the same thing there, and it has a similar result. But now, you know, I've got it on this trumpet, and I could do that on almost any trumpet in the collection if it has a reflection. Now, some of them don't because they're just not built in that same kind of way. But almost all modern trumpets do. And so if anybody watching this, if you're trying to get a good reflection out of your, I don't know, 1908 Courtois cornet, it's not going to happen. But there is something called whole horn reflection, which is the length of tubing has its own kind of wave that can propagate back, and it's a standing wave resonance, essentially, right? And you can find that on any pipe, on any length of tubing. So that means every trumpet has that, but sometimes it's not, because of the way we used to play, and I guess still a lot of people play, this reflection was undesirable. And so they built horns to not have too much of that. And so sometimes you'll play a trumpet that actually plays quite well as long as you just kind of don't look for this. But once you start to go for it, then you find that it's kind of unusable. And I have a lot of trumpets in my collection that unfortunately do play that way. So anyway, then one last exercise we can do, because now we want to just get this right on the get-go. So I'll just keep on the C trumpet, but we're going to use... I can hear that somebody's here, probably going to ring my doorbell in a second. So we're going to use this. We're going to put it on 80, right? And we're just going to do what I call, I'll keep it off. We're just going to do what I call increasing tones. And this is just that you blow straight into the horn and hold it for, we're going to go 3 and then rest for 1. That's when we're breathing, right? And then we're going to go 4 and rest for 2 and 5 and rest for 3 and so on and so forth, just adding 1 to the playing and the rest, so that our notes get further apart, but they also get longer, so we can establish that our whole breath has the reflection the whole time. And then we're just kind of breathing and coming right back in on it, right? So if somebody rings my doorbell, don't worry about it. We're just going to do this for about 2 minutes, and that should be fine. And so there at the end also, I used to call this 3 strikes and you're in, because I was just interested in getting the reflection right from the get-go. And so I would do it just until I got 3 in a row, and then the next thing I would do is a long tone. So this is something that you can do in your warm-up, and all of what we did in this about probably a half hour or so, you can do all of this in about 5 minutes. It really doesn't take very long to establish a reflection on one of your instruments, and then do one of these exercises. And I could talk more about it. There's other warm-ups on my page that talk more about these things, but I wanted to just do one that's kind of like concentrated so that it's only a half hour to watch, and then you know everything you need to know to try to find a reflection, and now it's up to you to go get it. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you learned something, and I hope it all made sense. And I hope the audio doesn't suck. And I guess I'll put this in the warm-ups section as just a primer to, we didn't talk about journaling at all. And I said that we would, but you know what? I guess we'll save it for another video. Anyway, that's all I have for you right now. And I might do some more streaming, impromptu streams. I think people like that. But I'm going to try to solidify this this Friday time. I might go back to 3 o'clock. So look for me at 3 o'clock on Fridays. And if not, it'll probably be a slightly later hour depending on what I got into on Friday. All right. Hopefully I'll see you then.